Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our What's New in Canva for Education webinar, March edition. We are so happy that you're here, and we know how precious teachers' times are, so we cannot thank you enough for spending your time with us today. Now, today, as with all of our previous What's New webinars, you'll get a first look at the latest and greatest features and how to put them to use in your classroom. Now, first things first. A few housekeeping items. Today's webinar will be recorded, so have no fear. And it will be available on both our YouTube channel and emailed to you within a few days. So keep your eyes peeled for your inbox for that recording. This is one of our most asked questions, and there is no professional development issued for this session, but we hear you and are working on a way that we can offer this for our future webinars. You will also see our lovely team of moderators, thank you moderators, who will be helping me to answer questions as we go through our webinar today. For questions, please use the Q&A box so we can make sure the team of our moderators are able to help answer your questions and give you the level of support that you need. The chat just moves so fast and it's hard for us to make sure we can answer all of your questions. So hit the Q&A box, type in your question, and we'll get back to you during the webinar today. And if you don't already have a Canva for Education account, you will see the link in our chat, and we hope that you'll get your whole school system, Ministry of Education, or school district on board with Canva for Education. Last but not least, pinned at the top of the chat, you will see our guidebook for today's session. This guidebook is chock full of resources to help you feel empowered with everything that you learned today. And now, without further ado, let's get started. If you haven't already seen me on previous webinars, I'm your host, Leena. I will be with you for today's session. I work as a content strategist and product educator with Canva's education team. And I'm tuning in from Houston, Texas. Go Texas! In the United States, and we're so happy that you're here joining us as well. Before I joined Canva, I spent over a decade as a classroom teacher and over 8 years empowering educators like yourselves. Now, let's kick today off with a little fun fact for March. Did you know that March is named after the Roman god of war? As we gear up to conquer new challenges in education this month or every day, let's channel some of that warrior spirit. In the chat, please let us know where you're joining from and what teams you teach or what teams you support. We love hearing what you're doing, where you're joining us from. It helps us help you and also helps keep us connected, as community is a really big part of what Canva loves and values. My favorite thing is to really just see everyone who's joining me around the world. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, and let's get ready. Now, we always like to kick off each of these webinars, no matter if you've attended one or you've attended 100, letting us know how well you know Canva. This information helps us to guide our future webinars and also to just let us know a starting place for where you are today. So how well do you know Canva? Are you using Canva every single day with your students out of 5? Are you kind of in the middle where you've been dabbling in it a bit, but you're not 100% sure or feel that confident? Or are you at a 1? The nice thing about today's webinar is that this is a webinar to help you know the latest and greatest features and show you a new way to use Canva. So no matter where you are on this poll, which you can also click on the link in the chat to take our poll using our new polls feature, but it just helps us know and guide you wherever you are in the spectrum. And I love to see where everyone is and how comfortable you are. No judgment here. Now we're going to kick things off. Today, we'll walk through what is Canva for Education if it's your first time or you've never heard about Canva for Education. And we'll also walk through all of the new education features, followed by a demo of each one. Then we'll showcase a Canva tip for your classroom, or my most favorite segment, or what I like to call it, Canva-fy your resources. And we'll end today's webinar by exploring new teaching resources that will leave you with everything that you need to start using Canva, hopefully today in your classroom. Now, we always get this question: what is Canva for Education? Such a good question and something to really think about. Well, Canva for Education is your all-in-one visual communications platform. in a world that is growing in visual communication, from everything from how to use it to your phone to billboards. And Canva is that tool for you. Did you know that Canva for Education launched in 2020? And today you are one of over 90 million students and teachers using Canva monthly. Throughout all of our users, there's been 1 billion designs created by our education community, and that is students and teachers like you. And one of my favorite parts, or something to keep top of mind, is that we are used in over 190 countries. And today, we are in over 700,000 schools in 12,000 school districts. And if you didn't already know this, Canva for Education is 100% free for our schools and systems. And today's webinar, if you haven't caught on, is geared for our K-12 educators. Now, why is Canva for Education free? This is always a question that everyone always asks us, and it's a good question that I'm going to hopefully help answer for you. We believe that education is a human right. Our founders are both teachers and know the value of education. We also know that the skills that students learn in Canva transcend the K-12 landscape. That means that anyone can be using Canva from kindergarten all the way to what they do in their day-to-day work. You'll even hear of people using it for side hustles like edupreneurs, or using it to create podcast thumbnails or YouTube thumbnails, or they're using it to create everything that they need, from a brainstorm to a full-scale rollout of all of their social assets that you'll see on Twitter or Shopify or anything like that. In addition to that, Canva for Education empowers everyone to create, to collaborate, and communicate in the classroom and beyond. And Canva is quickly becoming an industry standard tool. If you spend 5 minutes looking at job postings on LinkedIn or anywhere where jobs are posted, you'll see Canva is one of the skills that are often found in those job descriptions. And Canva does foster those 21st century, or what I really deem to be called timeless skills of adaptability, creativity, communication, flexibility, and all of those skills that your students need to be workforce ready. And I forgot to mention that Canva is part of our 2-step plan, in which we want to empower everyone with the resources that they need and to support educators around the globe. So thank you, educators. Now, today's topics: what is Canva for Education, which we just talked about? What's new in Canva? We're going to Canva-fy your resources, and we're going to dive into those new educator resources. So let's explore those what's new features and the things that you're probably here for. Well, today we're going to be talking about photo updates and video updates. I'll mention this later on in our webinar, but just wait till you see all the new things that are dropping for Canva Create. Let's kick it off with photo updates. Magic Grab just got easier. Now you can edit with marquee selection. Canva's photo AI tools now supports marquee selection, allowing you to select and edit multiple objects at once. Talk about a time-saving hack. This is available with Magic Grab and Magic Eraser. Now, here at the bottom of our slides, you will see, or of our pages, you will see what features are available to our plans. So we have our Pro, our Teams, our Edu, and our Enterprise. So you'll see that all of these features are available for educators. Now let's dive into a live demo. And on the Canva homepage, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to open this page, this document that I've been working on. And I'm just going to use this for as a demonstration for the rest of our webinar today of the new features. So I'm just going to actually add a page here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I'm selected here on my design so that you can see the editor side panel. And I'm going to go to elements, and I'm just going to find a photo of a person. And I'm going to scroll through here, and I'm just going to find something that's really speaking to me. And actually, I'm going to use a photo that I just recently used. So I'm going to click on this photo here, and you can see that I don't have the selection handles on here. So when I click on here, you'll see there's this purple selection handles that are surrounding this image. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to edit, and I'm going to go to magic grab. Now, in the past, you could either brush over what you wanted or you could click. And so before you would just click on it. Well, now you can drag and select, and you're able to grab multiple elements, multiple objects at once. So I'm just going to click on grab, and it will take a few moments. And now I can pull the woman out of the photo. Did you know that I can also go back and I can actually do this one more time? I can click on edit, and I can go to magic grab. And this time I'm going to just select what I'm going to use the marquee selection like this. And it has selected this object, and now I can grab it. When I grab it, it takes a few minutes, and you'll see that I've grabbed multiple objects at once, and now they are each showcased on this page. I can show the element. You can see here I actually have 3 elements selected on my design. But what I can do is I can actually place this as the background if I would like. And what I can do is I can click on here, and you can see how she's behind this building. So when I select on layer, and I can show the layers, and now I can manipulate the girl to be in front. I can have the building be in front, and I can decide where I want them to go based on this layering technique. So I could have this here, and I can make this, I can resize it so it seems really large. I can also stick her behind a bit so she's hiding out. So you'll see, I'm just throwing some extra tips your way as I'm working through this together. So that's marquee editing selection. Now we're going to talk about some video updates. Edit smarter, enhance sounds, and refine content easily. Now you can track with time markers. Our video timeline now features clear markers for greater control over your edits. It's easier than ever to track movements, trim clips, and create the perfect classroom videos. Element timing. Timing elements on desktop is now easier than ever. Quickly adjust and fine-tune animations and expand or minimize the timeline to focus on what matters, saving time and creating engaging lessons. You can also enhance audio files. If you haven't heard the news, our AI-powered enhanced voice tool now works on audio tracks, not just videos. Remove background noise and amplify your voice for a clear, professional-sounding lesson with minimal effort. And moment-in-time editing. Forget spending hours fine-tuning your teaching materials. Pinpoint the exact changes you need with the moment-in-time editing. See only elements visible at that exact moment, so it's easy to adjust timed text and overlapping features. Now let's do a live demo. So on my same design that I was on before, I'm going to come here and I'm going to come to my timeline. Now, we talked about timeline track markers, and so I am in a video file. So you'll see here I'm in a video. And I just clicked on file, and that let me know the file type. And time track with markers. So now I can make this timeline much larger so I have more viewpoints. You can also zoom in and zoom out on your image. But if you click this zoom page here, you'll see now it says zoom thumbnails. I can make this timeline longer or I can make it shorter. But now I can see the exact markings based on the timing itself. We also chatted and talked about, so we did time track with markers. Now let's talk about element timing, something that has been asked and loved by our community. I'm just going to remove this here, and I'm going to come back to this front page. And this is just a template that I got out of the template library. And what I'm going to do is, in the past, you would have to click on each element individually to be able to showcase them on the timeline. So it was really hard to be able to time them exactly how you wanted them. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select them all using a marquee selection. And you can see all of my elements are now showcased on this timeline. So if I feel like I don't have enough space, I can stretch the timeline out. And now I can time my elements where I would like them to be. I can also change the animations if I want. And now I can see where they're overlapping based on these timeline markers here. I'm tired of seeing all of these. I can just click on it and you can see now here, I can see the exact moment in time. So I can overlap this, I can change it a bit, and now you can see that moment in time editing. All right, now let's talk about enhance voice. So I don't know about you guys, but I was really excited about the timeline marker and the moment in time editing. Now I'm going to come over here to a slide that I've actually recorded. So I used another recording, audio recording. I'm going to show you two ways. You can bring in other audio recordings from your favorite audio recording tool, or you can use Canva itself. So I'm going to show you both. So first, I'm going to go to audio, and I've actually already recorded a track specific for today. And what I did was you'll hear the sound. So I'm going to adjust this audio to match this slide itself. And now I'm going to play the audio. Aside from picture graphs, we can also use line plots to show the frequency of the number of students, but how? So we know oftentimes in your classroom, there's just no way to get precise audio in a classroom full of students. I know I taught elementary and I would have 30 to 32 students in a classroom, and it was really difficult for me to get those students to not have that over the voices. And if you don't have specific podcast mics like I'm using today, and you're just using regular audio, sometimes it can be really unclear and you can hear a lot of feedback in the background. So in the past, it used to just be video that you would be able to enhance the voice. But now you can click on your selected audio track and you can click enhance voice. Now you can see the timeline color has changed, and now I'm going to hit play and you'll see the difference in the feedback. Aside from picture graphs, we can also use line plots to show the frequency of the number of students, but how? So the difference in the audio is it is much cleaner and crisper. Now I was standing really, really close to a fan. So in your classroom, it won't look specifically like that, but now you get the idea of how you can use enhance voice. Now, if you wanted to record directly in Canva and make your voice that way, let me show you how you would do that. So I'm going to go to the record yourself in the uploads. So I just come over here to my editor side panel. I click on uploads and I'm going to click on record yourself. This brings us to the recording studio. For the interest of this recording, even though you can see my podcast mic here, I'm going to actually click and make sure that my recording is actually this MacBook Pro microphone, which does a fine job. That's just the built-in microphone through my computer. Now, what I'm going to do now is you can play with the filters. Obviously, students will do this. No real sense to do this right now. And you can also do some like skin smoothing if you wanted, change the filtering, which we can play with that in a little bit. But what I'm going to do now, and you can change the shape of this recording here, is I'm going to now record this voice. Countdown, my favorite. Aside from picture graphs, we can also use line plots to show the frequency of the number of students, but how? And I'm going to click done, and my video is here, and now I'm going to save and exit. I'm going to let this load. You can see it's recording, it's uploading right here, and I can detach this from the frame if I want, or I can extract the audio. So what I'm going to actually do here is I'm going to remove this previous audio track that I had here. You can see here audio tools, so you can extract it or you can enhance the voice of this track. But let's say I only want the audio track. What I'm going to do is you can right click and you can click extract audio, or you can click on the audio tools and extract it that way. So I'm going to extract it because in this case, I only want my voice. And so I've extracted it. Now what I can do is I can now remove the video, and I can come down here to this audio track, and I'm going to click enhance video or enhance voice. And when I do, let's listen to the difference. Aside from picture graphs, we can also use line plots to show the frequency of the number of students, but how? So I'm also going to stretch out this slide here, the duration of the slide, which you can see. You can change the duration here, or you can just drag the page on the timeline. And that sounded really crisp. It really sounded like I was using a podcast mic for that. So you can use Canva itself, and it will also go into your uploads, and it will also go, that file that I just recorded is right here, and it's the audio recording track. So pretty great, right? Amazing. We just wrapped up all of our What's New features. Now we're going to dive into Canva-fy your resources. Now, just keeping top of mind, we are going to have a ton of new features and drops happening for Canva Create. So make sure you stay tuned, and I'll share more about that soon. But now my favorite segment, long overdue, Canva-fy your resources. This is a handy hack from Canva educators like yourselves. We are always listening and learning from you. So make sure that you're sharing your Canva tips on our Canva X account, and you're also sharing those in the Canva Facebook community. So today, our Canva-fy your resource is actually going to be a video podcast and how to put that together. So create, edit, and share your video podcast all in Canva. First, I want to kick it off with some Canva magic spotted in the wild. So like I said, we're always listening. Miss Simpson is teaching students how to podcast using Canva, and she said it was one of her many highlights today. This will be linked in the guidebook, so if you want to take a look at exactly how she's doing that, you can do that as well. And Mr. Gainey says, my students are all-in-one podcasting. Episode 1 has been published. No edits were done, but from the minds and hearts of 2 juniors excited to get this rolling. So this is a conversation between students learning about forging healthy circles. It's pretty interesting, so I hope you'll take a look. Now let's go ahead and let's dive into a demo. We'll start back in our Canva design that we've been working on, but this time I'm actually going to go back to the Canva homepage because I want to show you a couple of things. I'm going to click on the templates tab in the editor homepage. And here I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click over here on the left-hand side where it says work kits. When I click on work kits, I'm going to go to the elementary teacher work kit. Again, there will be a shortcut in the guidebook today, so have no fear. Remember, this is a collection of resources curated for our elementary educators, but can be used by any educator in the K-12 system. And anyone, these templates are available for any Canva user. Now I'm going to scroll down to the bottom because there's something specific that I'm looking for, and that's producing a podcast. So in the collaboration with the New York Times, we have how to produce a podcast using Canva. Did you know we have how to produce a podcast using Canva? It has everything that you will need here, from some of the fun facts, like did you know that 48% of US children aged 3 to 12 listen to or watch podcasts weekly? So it's pretty interesting. And 7 in 10 parents say their children take the initiative to begin listening to podcasts themselves. So it's pretty informative. And that means there's a lot of ways that we can incorporate that into our classroom. So some things to think about when podcasting, just for the sake of mentioning this, is brainstorming. A lot of times you want to brainstorm and get the ideas down on paper first of what you're doing. So we have some handy dandy mind maps, and even in a really great resource provided by the New York Times of how to really own your podcast and to learn some of that. Then you figure out your subjects and what you're going to be doing. And then once you have all of that together, then you need to write a script. So there are some script templates here. And then you are either the host or you're interviewing a guest. So there's some really great tips for you here that I highly recommend. And then how to record. So it tells you exactly how to record in Canva, but I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So now I'm going to go back to the Canva homepage because this is a resource that I had opened. And now I'm going to go to the templates. Now you could find an existing template, but for this case, I'm actually going to do podcast cover, and I'm going to click on a podcast cover, and I'm just going to find a podcast cover that really speaks to me. And so for the interest of today, I'm just going to do this one right here, and I'm going to customize this for myself. my template opens. And obviously this isn't going to be the Millennium Diaries. What I'm going to do is I can create a custom prompt and I can say, create a podcast title for a teacher sharing about teaching second grade, all the highs and lows and everything in between. Obviously, this could be something that your students do. Second grade chronicles could be like this. I can have Magic write a couple more, this, but more concise. And I can replace this if I would like. So a second grade chronicles. I think I'm actually just going to do second grade chronicles, which I like that title. I didn't really have to think too much, so that made me happy. And then a podcast by me, Miss Leena. Okay. So I have this podcast cover, and now I'm actually going to detach this image from the background, change my title, and I'm going to find an image that is a second grade teacher, maybe. Ooh, okay, I like this. And then I might just have the design of a classroom. Oops. Find a graphic that I like. Okay, I'm going to put this here. I'm going to set the image as the background. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change the transparency down. I like that. And then I'm going to edit the photo and I'm going to blur it some. So I'm going to do the whole image and I'm just going to blur it a bit. So it kind of looks like a classroom, but not. And I could change the transparency so it's a little bit more. So it kind of looks like there's a thing back there. Maybe I'll change this font to like white. And I might even add an effect here, like an outline. And maybe we'll make the outline black so it's more blatant and maybe make it bigger. And then we can make this one white too and bold it. And we'll also do an effect here, but maybe this time we'll just do hollowed out or an outline. Same thing. I'll do the black. And there we go. And I might just make this bigger. And then I'm going to position it. I'm going to center it. I'm just going to create this however you want to create it. Now we want to create the podcast. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the uploads and we're going to go to the recording studio. And now I'm just going to record my content here. And you can do a video podcast, which is what we're doing right now, or you can just change it and extract the audio like we did earlier and make it an audio podcast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click record. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my podcast of Second Grade Chronicles, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. Tune in every Friday for new episodes and see what everything is happening in our classroom. Thank you so much for joining. We can't wait to see you. This is going to be an absolute blast. Now I'm going to hit done and I'm going to save and exit. And now you're going to need to do a little bit of audio. So you really do want your students to have a script so that you can have something guided. Sometimes when they're riffing, it can go off topic. So you want to keep everything on topic. Now, we said we wanted this to be a video podcast, which I mentioned. I'm just going to actually detach this from here. And I'm going to make sure that I clean up the audio. So I'm going to go to this video and I'm going to go to audio tools and I'm going to enhance the voice like we did before. You could leave it here as a podcast cover, but let me show you what I'm going to do now. I leave it as a podcast cover because there is the most templates of podcast covers. And then once we enhance the voice, which we definitely want to do, let's play it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my podcast of Second Grade Chronicles, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. Tune in. Okay, so we have that there. And now what I'm going to do, because I like to be fun, and I'm going to remove the background and I'm going to duplicate this page. You don't have to do this, but I am doing this in this instance. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually remove once this is finished, the background, I'm going to remove this frame and I'm going to remove myself once this happens. I'm going to remove this frame and you'll see I'm here on the page. Now I have the second grade chronicles and I have this here. And I can decide how I want this background to be. I could be in doing a field trip. I could do however it is that I want to do. And so I'm actually going to just place myself. I'm going to remove some of this text and I'm going to remove that. Now, the nice thing about podcasting, and if I were doing this with my students, they would be sitting down doing an interview, or you could have your whole class doing it at once. And so I would take the pages where each of the pages either doing bulk create and assigning the pages that way, or just going through and putting the page title like group 1. And you can have up to 50 collaborators at one time recording their content. So you could leave it, like I said, like this, or what you can do now is, and what I would suggest doing is taking this and going to a video to resize it and resizing it as a 1080 by 1080. That means a square, which is what we have here. And I'm going to copy and resize it. You may be wondering, why would you do that? Well, it gives the playback of a video. And now you can see this is here in with the timeline markers, the element timing. So I'm just going to remove myself actually from this first page. And now you can see I'm here. Now, if I wanted to put some fun text in, like maybe I'm going to put, wow, and I put something in that way. Get rid of this back here. Bring this up and maybe I'm talking about something really great and I'm doing that. And then on the last, and so then you can stretch this out however long you need it to be based on your audio track. And I can add another page and I can just say, thank you. Let's see if there's anything here. Like, there we go. Thank you for watching. And now I can change this to thank you for listening. And what you can do is, remember, you can extract that audio if you wanted. Then we go to share. So you can have up to 50 collaborators on a page. And now I have a video podcast. So when I go to play this, I always click the hello, everybody. Welcome to my podcast of second grade chronicles, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. Tune in every Friday for new episodes and see what everything is happening in our classroom. Thank you so much for joining. So you get the idea. Now, what you can do is, as the teacher, because there can be some restricted sharing in your districts or however they decide, is as the teacher, make sure the students have shared this with you. Or if you've done a collaborative assignment, you could share an assignment and share it to your favorite LMS, or you can just share with a specific group. So I can share this specific group of my students' classes and I can decide if they can edit it. So you want them to edit it so you're all working on this together. And then when I go to share it, I can either do a public view link, and I can make different links actually for teachers. So I can rename this and I can say parents. And then I can also add another link, and maybe this one is for administration. And you can create different links. And so you can track the insights of that. So you can see how many people are listening, or let's say you share it to Twitter. So we can add another link, and this time Twitter or X. So I'm just going to put x.com and it's there. And so I can copy this link. And when I copy this link, it gives me exactly what. Welcome to my podcast of second grade chronicles, the highs, the lows, and everything. Now, when I go back to my design here, and go back to my design and I click on the insights. So when I go back to the share tab and I click on the public view link, we can see here, once it's happened, you'll be able to see how many visitors there are. And you can click on this insights tab here and you can get a lot more. You can look at your public view link and see how many people visited, how many total people visited. So I find those insights really, really interesting, especially when doing a podcast. You want to know how successful it is. So you could do a whole school podcast, you could do a regular podcast, but this is how you can do it. And then when you go to export it, when you go to download it, you can just download it as an MP4. And when you download it as an MP4, you can upload it into YouTube. You could even put it on Spotify. Spotify has video now that you can do, and it will change that actually into an audio if somebody is not watching the video. So that's the way that you put together and Canva-fy your video podcast. All right, now we're going to dive into our new educator resources. Level up your lesson and, of course, engage every student. We have a new page for you, which is free teaching resources made by teachers for teachers like myself, guides, tutorials, and templates to elevate your teaching with Canva for Education. So these are resources mostly created by Canvas Design School. So let's take a dive into how we get to that page. You can just click on the plans and pricing page. And when you do, you click on education, and this takes you to the teaching resources. That's if I'm inside of Canva already. To help you out, we have put this link directly in the guidebook, so make sure you check that out. And here you'll see everything from the Teacher Essentials course to Magic AI guides to design skills for students to our creativity and education report. Then down here, you'll see all sorts of things from Canva basics to teacher-led activities to mastering AI to packs and toolkits to webinars and tutorials. So everything that you need to feel inspired in using Canva in your classroom today. One of my favorite are the Magic AI guides. So if you haven't explored them, click here and you'll see all of the guides to teach you how to do magic. You will see, when you click here, you'll see everything that you need to feel success using magic in your classroom. So we have our brand new teaching resources and teacher cheat sheets. We have 3 brand new teacher cheat sheets, and we put out 3 new teacher cheat sheets every single month. This link will be in the chat, will be in your guidebook. And here we have our Canva teacher resources, and this is a full teacher resource page, exactly like that other page that I showed you, but has all of our resources. And click on teacher cheat sheets and you'll see all the brand new resources. On the teacher resource page, we have our Canva tips, hacks every teacher should know. Here from are everything that you need for the design accessibility checker to presentations shortcuts to how to differentiate your writing. And in addition to that, one of my most favorites, which I talked about earlier, was how to use Bulk Create to use exit tickets and to create them. So who doesn't love a time-saving hack? And these will give you all of those things that you need to be successful. These links will also be in the guidebook, of course. All right, now let's talk about some helpful resources. If you're looking to learn more about Canva events, go ahead and scan the QR code or some Canva resources that will take you right to the teacher resource site. You can also explore all of our previous What's New events by scanning the QR code. This will take you to our YouTube playlist for Canva for Teams and Canva for Education webinars. And you can learn more with Canvas Design School, empowered by our educator resources, which I showed you earlier with our teacher cheat sheets, educator tutorials, design playbooks, and so many more resources that you're definitely want to get your hands on. And if you haven't done so, please visit our Design School page to access all of our courses and make sure that you get certified today. Launched newest to us is our AI in the Classroom certification course with all the tools and tricks to leave you saving time, to leave more time for teaching, the part that we love the most. And if you haven't already done so, please join our community. Be a part of our global Facebook community. We have communities from all around the world, and we also have a global community. So scan the QR code and be sure you join today. Remember, we get some tips and tricks from you too. And if you haven't already done so, please make sure that you're following us on X. Share with us your Canva love and your Canva tips. Again, we'd look to see some of those tips. Make sure you tag us at Canva Edu. And I've alluded to this 100 times probably throughout this webinar. And thank you so much for hanging on this long. Canva Create is back with new tools, new rules, and our biggest launches yet. Trust me, you're really going to want to check this out. You can explore sessions designed for educators, from our Canva Design School team. I'll be leading a workshop alongside some of our other team members, expert insights, and the latest in creative teaching. Join us live in Los Angeles for a front row seat or register to watch online for free. So we hope that you won't miss this one-of-a-kind event. And if you haven't already done so, make sure that you bring Canva to your school district today. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of a What's New with Canva for Education webinar. We are so glad you're here. And thank you for everything that you do to empower students. All right, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you guys again. See you next time. Bye.